Like looking back at it, it was like definitely the win I really wanted in my life, in my career at the time. I think this was everything to me. I think just this split here was definitely the biggest one, and we did what it took to win.
It was definitely one of the happiest moments I had in my life.
Nice.
Yeah. How are you?
Me? Yeah, I mean, same for me. It was definitely one of the biggest moments of my life too. Biggest wins.
It's the summer of 2014, and the LCS has made its way to PAX once again to determine the next champion of North America. After bursting onto the scene just a year earlier at PAX 2013, two-time defending champions Cloud9 now find themselves facing off against TSM for the third finals in a row. In their first two clashes, Cloud9 left no doubt, crushing TSM in back-to-back sweeps. Cloud9 looked poised to make it a three-peat. But TSM had other ideas. After a late-season swap at support, TSM surged through the playoffs and set their sights on reclaiming the title in the finals. It's a back-and-forth series, one that will come to be known as the birth of North America's greatest rivalry, culminating in a winner-take-all Game 5. Then, a WildTurtle appears.
They said the world does not belong to you. It don't belong to you. It belongs to...
Tell me about TSM before Cloud9 entered the league. Even before the LCS, like, who are TSM?
TSM was just like the most popular North American team. I think they just had like the most personalities. I think everyone watched their streams. They were more like a personality and lifestyle type of brand rather than just like a gaming org. But the thing about them too is like while they had all these personalities, they were just like beating everybody as well. When you're on TSM, you're always expected to win. That's just the expectation of like playing on that org. So I think we definitely knew we had to win.
You know, you look at the black and white, the stripes, and they're like the Yankees of the league. You know they're going to do good, you know they're going to win, and you know they're going to be able to surprise you on the way that they do it. Because they all were kind of playmakers. It was Team Solo mid, as it came to it, but yeah, the whole team was just a powerhouse, and they were almost unstoppable until Cloud9 came along.
What can you tell me about Cloud9 at this time?
I think they were good.
Good? Just good?
Yeah, they were definitely beating us a lot. I think when they came on to an ALCS, they were just like sweeping the finals and going 3-0.
Cloud9 with their eyes on the Nexus, their eyes on the summer split, completely undefeated in the series.
Cloud9 does not drop a single game in the playoffs.
In summer, I think it was the first time they beat us, 2013, and then spring 2014, they 3-0'd us as well.
Cloud9, the best team in North America once again.
They only died 6 times this entire series.
6 deaths total.
It was kind of weird because like I was actually on that team before joining TSM, so I was already kind of friends with those guys. So I was like, nice, you guys got a trophy. And then after they kept stealing my trophies, I was getting kind of salty.
You know, our second split was almost as good as our first one. We were still really dominant. Yeah, I mean, I think it just took teams a while to sort of catch up to what we were doing, because obviously it's a lot harder to stay on top than to catch up to the person on top, because if you want to catch up, you can just copy exactly what they're doing, and at some point it'll like start being effective. But when you're on top, you have to keep finding new ways to like keep that advantage on other teams. So I think the fact that we could do it twice in a row was like pretty big for us.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure both Medios and I were like deathless that series against TSM, so it felt pretty good to like not only win, but to win by that much. Like having the main initiators of the team, neither of us ever dying, is a pretty huge feat. Meaning like we're the ones starting the fights and we're not dying for it. It basically means that they're getting like destroyed. Because usually if you take a fight, at least some person probably dies in your team, right? And that's usually the initiator and engager, but like we just pretty much smurfed on them, honestly. Like they had no chance in that playoff series.
They were just beating everybody. They had crazy regular splits all the time and just stomping everyone in like 20 minutes. I think they just studied a lot of Korean games, and I think they just emulated a lot of that and brought it to North America. So they were just ahead of everyone in terms of like team fighting and rotating. So they kind of caught that early, and I think for us, like we had to catch up to that point. We were on like a downward trajectory. That's why we decided to get a new support. I think we couldn't figure out like the big problem too, so we just needed to get like, when you get a new player on your team too, at least back then, it's like motivation for everybody. So it's like roster moves were pretty impactful back then, I think.
Did you even watch the LCS back then?
No, I wasn't actually watching RCS, and yeah, what does even Cloud9 mean? Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I have no idea. Actually, I was planning to retire from playing, and yeah, I was just chilling at home, and I suddenly got the call from Loco, who was head coach at the time, and he was telling me, I need you to be here like ASAP. I will explain later, just come. And I played like, how many scrims? Like 2 scrims?
Yeah.
And I got the pass, and I just booked the ticket right away.
Wait, you played scrims from Korea?
Yeah,
On how many ping?
like 200 pings.
I don't remember them that well. All I remember was Let's Play's Nami being very good, because I don't think nobody played a very good Nami in North America. So I think when Let's Play played Nami, I was just like, wow, this guy knows how to use his abilities.
On 200 ping?
Les Boy was one of the first Korean players that was imported to North America, and you know, C9 we're all American. Like we hadn't really imported anyone, and TSM they just seemed like too mad that they couldn't win, so they just started bringing people over from like Europe, Korea, whatever. Like, but Les Boy is obviously really good, and I think he was for sure ahead of, you know, just like what other people knew about support at the time, because, you know, obviously he's a good player, but he's also been practicing in Korea, where they're generally have always been ahead.
Lemon took a lot of inspiration from Korea, for example. He always looked at the top players in there, see what they played, the champions they do, how they play. So a player coming from there, obviously, like, you know, like he's like learning from those players, and for him to come over here is kind of like a different level, right?
Turtle was always a really strong AD carry player, and when you have someone that can enable him, and also just like the way he played the map, his vision control, it was just sort of not something that we had seen before in North America. So I think he helped their team a lot as far as just like helping them understand how to play and just like taking their macro knowledge like up a level.
There's not a single thing Glebe is better at than Les Boy for support, right? Like, no offense to the guy, but like it's a strict upgrade in almost every way, except for maybe English, I guess. Like maybe his comms are worse.
Back then, I had a language barrier since I was not very good at English at the time. So, but my typing was not as bad as the speaking. Yeah. So I was just typing adjacent to how I wanna play the lane.
Yeah. I remember we would talk about the laning phase before like the games, and then we would just type about the laning phase more so than actually like speaking about it. So it's like things we wanted to do.
Yeah. So at the studio, everyone is wearing the headset and talking about the game, but you were just typing.
That was useful. It was better, I think.
When did you join? Do you know?
I think it was like week 3 or 4.
I think it was actually like week 6, 7-ish.
Wow.
It was really close to playoffs.
Yeah, wow. We were doing pretty bad, I think. I think Les definitely turned our team around. I think having him on our team really motivated all the other players as well.
Everything switches for TSM there, and they won every game that they needed to from there on out. And being, what, 4th? A little 4th or 5th the entire split? All right, bring it to a 5-game final, let's go. That story itself just was one of the best.
Welcome back to the North American LCS, coming to you live here from PAX Prime in Seattle. The crowd is fired up for our first game of the Summer Playoff Championship between the reigning champs Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid.
It was like cool to be at PAX and play a finals at PAX. I think the crowd was really crazy for PAX Prime. It was just amazing, like a lot of energy there. As we started racking up the wins and getting to the finals, I felt pretty confident at the time.
Yeah, there's no way we were gonna lose these playoffs. Yeah, we kind of knew it, I think.
Yeah. It was close, but we still won.
Yeah.
It was very close.
Now, if this matchup looks familiar, you are not wrong. This is the third straight split that has come down to these two teams facing off in the playoff finals, with Cloud9 coming out ahead each time.
Game 1 and 3, you were Zed, and you were smurfing. Game 2, you were Yasuo. You ran it down. You were playing Yasuo against Syndra, and that matchup didn't look too fun.
He kind of gapped me mid that game, I'm pretty sure. But I don't think I dodged very many skill shots of his, or I just go into the team fight and then Syndra presses R on me and then I'm gone. But at least I got to return the favor to him on a few of the other games.
Game 4, you were Orianna, and like, you died a lot that game, but it was one of those classic level 1s where it was like, you and Lemon were playing Ori Braum, and you start like chasing Lustboy on Nami like deep into the red side jungle.
Oh, we went hard?
Yeah, like you just go for this like 2-man play, and none of us could back you up, and they collapsed, and you died. And then you come back to lane, they come for like this invade on our blue, and you rotate with no sums and get killed again. So you had like 2 deaths in game 4, like but right in the beginning, like 42 minutes.
Sounds like good gameplay to me. I'm there for the team, you know, team player.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like it was like you were doing anything dumb, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
What do you and the community at this time kind of think about Turtle? Like,
You knew he was always ready for a play, and he was always ready to also be the one to start a play if necessary. I think that's one of my favorite things about Turtle, because I always say putting the shell on and going in. You know, he would be the one to try to initiate a fight with a buster shot or something.
I think that was the game where I jumped in early game, and then I did R flash on Tristana. Do you remember this?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did it that game.
yep, I remember that.
Yeah, that was the game, yeah.
Was that a play that like was common back then, or?
I was just practicing that play. I don't think it was very common. I just wanted to do it. We were down 2-1 and I did this play. It was really stupid, actually.
Did it convert?
It went well in the game, but I think it was a bad play. Like now, like if you look now, it's a bad play. Okay. When you're young, oh, good play. When you're older, it's not that great. Like nowadays, for good League of Legends, that's not a good play. You know, that's not a play you go for.
Level 1 fights, especially for a best-of-5 series. This deep in,
nice job.
WildTurtle putting on the shell, and he goes hard. Amazing's right on the backside. A great flash out, but it's not gonna be enough.
WildTurtle with the awesome shot back onto Sneaky.
Actually, I remember your movement. You didn't expect this. 'Cause I didn't say anything. I just jumped in. I think that's why I was running back when I was making the play. And then he sees me make the play, he's like, oh shit. Like your character's like, oh shit.
Oh shit, guys.
It's too funny.
With TSM, of course, we have WildTurtle, who doesn't quite play as safe as Sneaky does. It's the complete opposite. A little inconsistency there, but he's consistent because he's always a wild card. You don't know if he's going to go off, if he's going to jump in or away, if he's going to buster shot a Maokai away instead of finishing him. You don't know what you're going to get with him from game to game. And I think that what they need to do is get Turtle on a leash and basically allow him to go loose, but still have his team behind him.
I think he was one of the top 380 carries at the time going into this, because you had to look at where Sneaky was. Incredibly close between the two, you know, with the 80 carries going back and forth in the games that they won. And to look at the final game, WildTurtle only breaks away because of his quadra kill at the end. Everybody's sitting at 1, 3, and 4 across both teams. That's how close it was.
It all comes down to this. Everything is on the line as we go into game 5.
This TSM team, if they're able to win, would be quite the run. They've finally come together. The Lustboy acquisition worked great, and now 1 game away from winning North America.
It was a really weird game where like both teams were actually like taking each other's inhibitors pretty often, which you like never see these days. They started pushing down mid with their wave, and like they were kind of overcommitting, and me and Lemon, I think, were like poking him down. Like we were hitting him with like Kha'Zix's, you know, W evolve and stuff, and we chased him into our jungle.
Our position was actually against the enemy Nexus, and yeah, you reckon that about to get the sandwich from the minions and C9's team comp, and you're actually getting poked out from the Kha'Zix and Corki, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're getting slowly choked out, but
It was kind of like a pretty awkward angle because we had to like funnel into the choke against them, against Nami. but it still did seem fightable, but it just didn't work out and we all died.
I'm like 99% sure I was saying don't take this team fight. I'm pretty positive I was saying that.
Yeah,
but then
you
I
did.
swear to God, balls flashes in on Maokai to root someone, and then obviously like Meteos has to follow up because our top lane is going in.
Yeah, F flash.
Yo, they're running down.
Push them in. F flash. Push them in. No, stop us too. Oh, you guys are fucking deep. Yo, I'm coming.
Yo, Lulu's kind of low.
Careful, you guys are.
Yo, Oriole's out. That's how I remember it too, is I actually wanted to fight it, and I remember you were saying don't.
I don't know what happened, but when I just realized just Jason was killing everyone. Yeah.
When he just realized I was already killing everybody.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good dream.
Home guard, they're not able to utilize this big engage. Dyer's just out of range on that. Home guard wears off. Not much damage from the shockwave, but the control TSM needs to reassess the fight. Balls gets hit up. The Glacial Fisher on the backside. They bottleneck.
Oh my God. You're not moving.
What's going on?
Oh.
Nice.
What's it like watching that back?
Well, I remember the feeling of the game now. I remember right when I could hit Maokai, we won that team fight. So, like when you land the bubble on Maokai and I'm hitting Maokai,
Yeah.
I knew we would win this team fight there. Yeah.
Did you know too?
No.
Or you just thrown out there?
Well, at least for AD carry, yeah. Like from my point of view,
Yeah.
like pretty much from my positioning and the choke we were in, it was just like they were very committed, and then there was no way for them to get out anymore. So I can definitely do like full damage. I knew I can hit, and then the Yasuo was forced to go in, otherwise his Maokai is gonna die for free. So I think at a point like that, I just knew I can just deal as much damage as I could. So
I think they had like so many things that worked out for them to make them win that team fight. Like the stars aligned and they won that team fight. Not only did like a lot of us misplay, but like we actually got like griefed by like creeps and minions too. They like chase you from mid lane into the forest, and then it gets like the minion, the Wraiths aggro too. And it's like all these things that could go wrong went wrong.
Sneaky had actually fired a rocket right into one of the Wraiths, which would probably taken WildTurtle down enough so that High could have killed him. All of those scenarios right there that were just either being calculated or not, whether WildTurtle knew a rocket got pied in the face by one of the Wraiths and he was still alive for that, it's absolutely amazing. Watching it back now, I still get lost in the fight.
You play that team fight probably another 10 times. I'd say we'd probably win that 7 out of 3 times. Even if I don't want to take that fight, we'd probably win it the majority of times if things just go better. I'm pretty sure Sneaky was super pissed off too because he got like crit 4 times in a row by the Tristana or something, and he has like 50% crit.
Flash the rocket and literally this is the flash forward for Turtle. He flashed into Sneaky's Corki, which is a death sentence in any other time because of the Sheen procs and the amount of damage Corki can put out instantly. But it was just after you'd fired a rocket. I think Gatling was down, the Valkyrie was down, so the flash had to be there for Sneaky. And he flashes over the wall and just 2-3 shots him.
I guess from their perspective, it looks like Sneaky threw the game, I guess, because I think if he didn't get killed there, they probably would have had a much better chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, big crit.
Oh yeah, said big crit. Is there a reason?
The scrimmage was like Jason was gonna lose if he didn't crit, and he didn't have like 100% crit chance, and he critted. Yeah, so I think we won the team fight of the crit.
Getting the static shiv crit was really big too. I think that was a little bit lucky, but I did use flash to get the charge faster. Because if you use flash, you get the charge faster, right?
Yeah, I mean, was it on purpose?
Yeah, of course.
Big crit?
Of course, yeah. That was something I was thinking about like a lot, just like using mobility spells to get your static shiv quicker. I think that's why Tristana uses that item very well. She can also just W and get it much quicker as well. So that's something that I always thought about too when I was playing with the static shiv champions back in the day.
What if that doesn't work? How screwed are you using your flash to try and kill the enemy AD if somehow he gets away?
I think we would just get another team fight because I think the map was in a position where we wouldn't lose the game, right? So maybe just another team fight. I don't think we're gonna lose the game off the team fight, were we?
Actually, maybe you are, yeah.
Because we had mid lane push.
Back then, that timer was like years.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
You might be right. Yeah. Who knows? That's not something we need to think about anymore. That's not happening. if it did happen and we lost that finals,
Yeah, then I go back to Korea again. Departed.
It's his trademark. It was his trademark. It is his trademark. Whether or not he's kind of kicked that from his system, if he flashes forward again, everything's recalled. And that's WildTurtle. And it is, everything about it is wild. It makes you smile just as much as he smiles 100% of the year. Every time he goes forward, you know there's a big play. And in these ones, it's calculated. When it's in the playoffs, he'll do it in those intense moments that it makes or breaks a game.
Do you think a different AD carry in North America at that time would have won the fight the way you did?
Looking back, I don't think someone would play like this. I don't think like flashing over the wall into their team and trying to kill the Corki is a good idea for the most part. I think we would probably win that team fight anyway, even if I didn't do that, but it was just an angle I saw in the game, so I went for it. And in a moment like that, you kind of just, if you see it, you do it, right? It was definitely more intuition-based, and I don't think, it was just something, it's just my practice, right? I've been practicing this style for like a very long time, and I saw an opportunity to be good at it, so I did it.
Why be so aggressive? Like,
what
about you as a player makes you want to do that to people?
It just seems like the fun way to play the game. I'm just like, I think back then AD carry was like kind of considered like slow roll, you play safe, you just get items. I think this is like the role people thought it was like supposed to be played, but I kind of thought it was like, oh, if I get my items, I can like try to one-shot everybody before they can kill me. Like instead of the opposite where it's like, all right, I'm gonna play safe and deal as much damage as possible, which I still do sometimes, but I just prefer to play a little bit more risky. I think it stopped working very well for me in like 2015 just because I think like people were just punishing me much better when I try to do this, so I just had to like scale back on it.
My first ADC, which was Captain Jack, who was considered as like the most defensive AD, we didn't really go well because of the game style, but yeah. Jason was the opposite, and yeah, I think we kind of liked it.
Yeah, I think we meshed well together because of it, for sure.
Not much damage from the shockwave, but the control TSM needs to reassess the fight. Balls gets hit up. The Glacial Fish are on the backside. They've bottlenecked into this fight and are going for broke. High goes in, tries to get his ultimate down. Last breath has already been used. Coming up with focus from Guardian Angel. Turtle on the triple, Turtle on the quadra. Meteos on the outside. A second quadra in the playoffs for Turtle.
And after all the tension, TSM finds the fight, and WildTurtle goes wild right there on that last fight, outplaying Cloud9.
You kind of come to the realization that you won the finals, and it feels pretty good. Everyone's happy. I think, as you can see, we're celebrating in most of these photos. Yeah. It was definitely a good moment, for sure. It was definitely a huge weight off my shoulders because I haven't won for 2 splits to these guys, and it was kind of frustrating me to this point, and to be able to perform like that in the final game was pretty good for me.
I think I was not thinking about like anything except the game. Once the game was over, just everyone was chanting TSM, and yeah, it's actually really like warming your heart. Yeah, TSM, TSM, and yeah, that's the moment you know everything is over.
That's the game. TSM goes to full 5 and takes down Cloud9.
All I hear in my ears is TSM, man. Yeah.
It always felt so good when you play against TSM and like you hear the fans chanting like TSM in the beginning and it just like slowly gets quieter throughout and you're like, yeah, like
They know who's better. It's us.
Like it feels like their hope's dying. But then when you lose to them, the chants are real loud and you're like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah. It's like you lose in the game and then you lose in the fan base too, so it's like a double whammy.
You know, that like we hadn't lost a series in playoffs before, and you know, feeling like the protagonist where you're just always winning, like that's when it stopped. That was when it was like, wow, we actually lost. Like that just happened. So it definitely felt like really bad.
The moment they won, it's like finally, hey, they're actually our rivals. You know, they can actually beat us. Because beforehand, we kind of just like stomped them, right, and beat every team. It's hard to have a rivalry if the enemy team can't win. It's not a rivalry anymore.
I think it was for sure the turning point where it was viewed as less friendly. Like before that, it always felt like we were really good friends with everyone on TSM, and then after that, not just because of the results of the game, but like, you know, the roster changes. I feel like that's when it became less of a friendly rivalry and more of like a competitive rivalry. It had been kind of one-sided up till that point, and now all of a sudden it was like, okay, like we need to beat them now.
This is where it came from. There are other rivalries coming up to this that were here and there, but for this to happen at PAX in front of so many people after such a reign of Cloud9 and even 3-0ing TSM the split before to say no, not a chance, this sparked that rivalry between them that we still continue to see between these teams.
They said the world does not belong to you. You are not the king. I am not the fool.
High goes in, tries to get his ultimate down. Last breath has already been used. Coming up with focus from Guardian Angel. Turtle on the triple, Turtle on the quadra. Meteos on the outside. A second quadra in the playoffs for Turtle.
Does not
WildTurtle goes wild right there on that last fight.
belong to you.
Carrying TSM the championship.